Welcome to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten.
Hi, I'm Wendy. After I graduated with my master's in wellness management, I started my own company, T2 Coaching, Health, Fitness, and Sport.
And I'm Kirsten, an athlete, vegan, life coach, and girl mom, running a business focused on helping others create a life they love.
We are here to explore all things wellness to help you become the person you've always wanted to be.
So if that's why you're here, open your ears and your mind as we tackle the world of wellness together. Hey, everybody. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Kirsten. How are you?
I'm good. I'm at the gym because I still don't have internet at my house. I just haven't had time to set it up. So I just taught a class and decided to just stay here because there's internet here. How are you?
I'm good. I'm at home. Usually I'm either at my mom's or I'm at Lifetime.
Ah,
For everyone who doesn't know, we tried recording last Thursday and we got disrupted by lack of internet. So we're recording on Monday.
yay, we're re-recording, which is so weird. But I feel like I look like I'm in this I'm in the jungle or something. I love it.
Nice.
I don't know if it's echoey but whatever. We just roll with it.
Yeah.
So what's your wellness win?
You know, I talked about my wellness one last week when we started recording, and I don't even remember.
Well, what is it? Think of something that's been going on the last few days.
I ran a marathon.
That's a huge wellness win.
So that's a wellness win, but it wasn't my wellness win. And again, I can't remember, and I could have gone back and thought about it. But we started the podcast off last week with a different wellness win, and I don't remember what it is. I'm just not the same person on a Monday.
That's okay. It's your wellness win in this moment.
Yeah.
Here right now. Running a marathon is a wellness win.
Yeah, it is.
That's a huge wellness win.
I'm kind of tired. I'm in my recovery mindset. Sometimes I feel drugged on Mondays after like a race weekend, and I'm kind of feeling that way right now.
I feel that way too. And when I do that, and I feeling.
Yeah.
My wellness win actually is right along those lines because I had 4 straight days of nothing but moving, cleaning my old apartment, moving into my new apartment. I haven't started organizing anything in the new apartment, but just stressing about not being able to find anything and then having to go to work like every couple hours to a different place and interrupting the flow. So I spent 4 days. And so my wellness win is actually today. If I had nothing I had to do today, I would be in such a funk. I would be feeling like kind of like you said, like kind of like lethargic and not really, just in that feeling of like kind of fatigue and tired mental fog. And that's how I would have been 100% today if I had nothing going on. But on Mondays, I teach 3 classes in a row. And so it forces me to move my body, exercise, communicate with other people, and it gives me the opportunity for people to give me energy because I'm oftentimes the one giving other people energy. And so my wellness win 100% is having to teach my 3 classes this morning. A lot of times I'm really anxious about it because it's just they're back to back to back, and 2 of them are in one location and the third one is in a different location. So I have a half an hour between those 2 classes, and the drive with no traffic is 12 minutes. So I'm like pushing people out the door, and it's after yoga. So we're all relaxed and peaceful. And then I'm like, gotta go, bye, don't ask me any questions. I jump in my car, jump on the highway, cross my fingers for no traffic, speed over to the other location. It's the same, it's all City of Westminster, it's just a different location, 12 minutes away. I come like sprinting in, hoping there's not too many new people that are like, why is the instructor not here? And I usually show up 3 minutes before class starts. And we're using the Bosu and the bikes and weights. So I just go running and I'm like, bikes, Bosu, medium dumbbells, let's go. So that's my every Monday schedule, and it has been for 2 years. And so it's Sunday, I'm always anxious about it. But since my whole weekend was so overwhelming and fatiguing anyway, this Monday schedule of me being in a routine, being with people, it actually made me, I feel a billion times better than I did this morning.
Oh, good.
So yeah, so mine's kind of the opposite. Like I felt that way, and then forcing myself to be around people, get my body moving, and kind of like when you're the instructor or the coach, you kind of have to be like on it.
Yeah.
So sometimes faking that, and it's kind of like the fake it till you make it. Like you come in and you're like, okay, everyone, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you start feeling better. So that's a huge wellness win for me.
Good. Sounds amazing.
I had this quote this morning and it goes right along with our podcast. It popped up I get this thing every morning called Third Eye Thoughts. And it was perfect, but I forgot I'm on my phone and it's on my phone. So I don't know. I'm afraid if I go look for it, my this recording is going to stop. So I'm not touching it, but I'm going to send it to you guys because it went along right with this and is really awesome. Because we're going to talk about feeling behind, like feeling behind in life in all different areas. There's Winnie and I've talked about this before, athletes of ours feeling behind in sport, like in their training. Like if I'm running a marathon in 2 weeks and my bestie's running a marathon in 2 weeks, and my longest run was 14 miles and her longest run was 20 miles, I might feel behind in my training. Or if I'm 53 years old and I don't have any retirement and another 53-year-old has $2.2 million in retirement, that might cause me to feel behind in life in any of these areas. So we kind of wanted to talk about it because I've noticed I asked a bunch of people some questions about this so that I could kind of discuss it on the podcast. And I asked people, what do you feel behind in life on? And whatever they answered. So for example, one of the girls I work with said, I feel behind on my housework. And so I asked her, I said, do you think if you came to my house, which is really messy because I'm always behind on my housework, but it's not a priority for me, so I don't feel behind on it. I said, if you saw my house and mine's even messier than yours, or there's more piles or whatever, would you feel as behind? And she's like, oh no, I would feel like grateful that they're like hopeful and grateful, thinking like, oh wow, I'm not the only one. And then I said, if you walked into somebody's house that's like immaculate and spotless and, they, whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, I would feel like worse about my situation. So what that got me thinking is feeling behind is simply that, it's feeling. So she was feeling like she was messy until she's in my messy house. And then she was feeling better until she went into somebody's really clean house. And then that made her feel behind again. So we actually have agency over if we feel behind or if we are behind on any area of our life.
Yeah, we definitely control how we feel. There's things that will impact how we feel, but feeling behind is still in the mindset of the beholder. What came to mind when you were giving those examples is women who are in their late 30s, early 40s, who want to have a family and have not been able to have a child yet. They're feeling behind, which is definitely, I think, normal because women, there's a time in a woman's life that they're not going to be able to have kids. They're going to hit perimenopause sometime in their 40s, menopause sometime in their 40s, early 50s, if not sooner. So there is only a window of opportunity for women to bear a child. And so that feeling behind, I think, feels more real in that situation because there is a time frame where women cannot have kids. Whereas feeling behind with house chores, laundry, dishes, etc., is something absolutely you can control if you decide that that's really important to you, that you don't want to have that feeling of feeling behind in your house chores. You just have to set time to get the things done that would make you feel not behind, and then you have to maintain that. So you maintain the feeling of, oh my gosh, I spent a whole day, put everything away, like you just moved, you spend a whole day, you prioritize a whole day just to getting your house organized after the move is going to make you feel exhausted and great at the same time because you were productive, everything has a place, everything's clean. And now you just have to choose if you want to maintain that feeling and maintain that cleanliness and organization.
Yeah, and something you said just made me think of um, we always have a choice in how we feel about something. And you and I, Wendy and I are both of this same mindset that if you make a choice, our whole life is choices. Every situation we are in currently is based on the choices we've made up to this point. And you can either do something about it or accept it. So Wendy and I both have a hard time tolerating people that just complain about it, their situation without taking steps to move out of that situation. And if you're really upset about something or something blindsides you or something, it is okay to grieve or be frustrated or be angry or be depressed about it, sad about it, anything like that. But then you have to choose. Either I'm going to move out of this situation or I'm going to accept this situation, because anything else is just going to make you miserable. And I was thinking about, so like me, for example, 53 years old and no retirement. That definitely, quote, makes me feel behind. But I looked at what I would need to do to not feel behind. So make it more quantifiable. So it's not just like an airy fairy feeling behind. And so if I was like, okay, what wouldn't make me feel behind? Let's say if I had $300,000 in my retirement. Well, what would it take for me to have $300,000 in my retirement? I could do that right now. Over time, I'm 53, I'm really healthy and I could keep going. I could work 60, 80 hours a week and get caught up in my retirement. But when I look at that as an option, that I don't want to do that. So I'm not willing to do what it takes to get caught up. So then I get to decide, do I let it go and just accept it, or do I start working twice as much as I am, which is not a priority in my life?
Yeah, that was a really good example. And again, there are circumstances that are going to trigger how you feel and impact how you make certain choices. But if you have that mindset that it's really a priority to change something so you don't feel behind, then you'll keep that on the top of your mind and you'll keep researching and educating yourself about what you need to do to make those changes like you did. You're selling stuff, you're earning more income, um, you're prioritizing your finances more than you ever have before.
Right.
You're making that choice based on past experiences that you've had, making those choices before and not having them stick due to other circumstances.
Right.
So yeah.
And a lot of times, like I've been in this financial journey for the last 4 months, I've gone up and down all over the place with my emotions, because my ex-husband, Rick, and we did the whole Dave Ramsey plan back in the day when we were married. We paid off over $100,000 in 1 year. We bought our RV, we paid off all our bills, we traveled in the RV, then we sold the RV, paid it off. We worked really hard to be debt free. And then it didn't stick for me. It didn't. Um, Sometimes, so some of the callers that call into Dave Ramsey, because I listen to the radio show every day, they'll say like, oh yeah, I did that 10 years ago and here I am again. And a lot of times the hosts say it's because you didn't feel enough pain in giving up things to get debt free.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times people who win the lottery or get an inheritance or get like a settlement or a alimony, or something, a big amount of money, and they go debt free because they had a big amount of money, that didn't cause them any pain. They didn't have to sell stuff. They didn't have to work harder. They just had something like a gift, or like that people say, oh, my parents bought me a house, or these big things. And so they didn't really have to go through the struggle and pain of getting out of debt or of saving money. And so it didn't stick. So it's kind of like we talk about nutrition. So if you don't have a really strong reason for eating healthy, then it's probably not going to stick. If you're just thinking like, oh, I should probably eat more fruits and vegetables. That's how I was. I should probably save money. I should probably eat more fruits and vegetables. But now that I have sold my car, bought an older car, moved into a full nother apartment to save money, been selling things, it's affected me a lot more and it's a little more painful. So that's why I feel like it's really going to stick this time. It's like with the nutrition stuff, somebody might be like, I lose weight, I gain weight, I lose weight, I gain weight, I just can't keep it off. But then something happens like a heart attack and their arteries are clogged. And the doctor's like, if you keep eating like this, you're going to be dead in 2 years. Or I knew a guy who was a really heavy drinker. And his doctor was like, you're not going to live much longer if you keep this up. And he kept drinking and he ended up passing away. But it's like when things are painful and hard, and it's a big reason to succeed in whatever your goal is, I think you're more likely to stick with it. Like, oh, this is a horrible thing to say, but this is what I used to say. Like when people would say they wanted to start, when I was in passion parties, it was multi-level marketing. So I would want people to join my team. And when people would say, oh, I really want to be a consultant, but I don't have the money. And there were times where our startup fee was $100. And people would be like, I'm like, do you have anything to sell? Can you like borrow any money or whatever? And they're like, no, I just can't get $100. So I would say something like, if somebody held a gun to your head and said, if you don't come up with $100 in a week, they shoot you in the head, you would come up with $100 because the other option would be getting your head blown off. So I know that's super like extreme, but in that situation, that person could easily come up with $100.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what about training? Because I know you get because we've talked about this, you get that question a lot. I missed a week of training. I missed 2 weeks of training. I need to catch up. I'm so behind. I'm so behind on training. My friend has already done a 6-hour bike ride and we have an Ironman in a month and I only have done a 40-mile bike ride. I'm so behind.
Well, we look at the big, in a training aspect, we look at the big picture. Okay, why have you only completed 40 miles and not 6 hours with 1 month to go? Because you decided you want to do an Ironman a month ago, or you got sick, you got injured, you had various setbacks. So I have them, by asking the right questions, come up with those answers because they know. And maybe their schedule doesn't allow them to ride 6 hours and it only allows them to ride 40 miles versus 100 miles in their training buildup. So they're, just resetting and reframing their mind and reminding them where they are today based on choices and circumstances and setbacks that led them to where they are today.
Right.
And again, it's a lot of it is you're feeling behind. What does that feeling mean to you? You're feeling behind in what? If you've never done an Ironman, you don't even know what being behind or how prepared you are until you don't know how prepared or unprepared you are until you cross the finish line. So it's just, a line of questioning and having them realize themselves the reason they are where they are that day in that present moment, and the reason they're not up to their friends or someone they know level of training volume, training load, fitness, strength, etc.
Right. And I think that's a really important reason to have a fitness coach, a triathlon coach, a life coach, because when you're feeling behind on something, it's really, it could keep you from moving forward. Like it could help make you feel stuck, make you feel paralyzed, make you feel like you don't want to move forward. It could cause anxiety, depression, overwhelm. So having somebody, like Wendy said, ask you those questions and work with you and, get you on the right track. What's the next right thing that you can do to move toward what you want your goal to be? And then again, reframing, like Wendy said, your mind so that you're not behind, you're on track for your journey. You're on track for your goal. So I have two people doing the Boulder 70. It's in one of them he has a lot, and he does minimum 1 to 2 hours a day, longer stuff on weekends. He doesn't have kids. He doesn't have things that could potentially get in the way. And then I have another woman that I'm training for the Boulder 70.3, and she has a lot of things going on throughout every single day. So her lifestyle's a little bit like mine. Like she has kids, she has, jobs at a few different places. She's jumping around a lot, and it's hard to get in a full hour or a full 2 hour at a time, or even in a single day. And so if she compares, they did a brick together the other day, and she was like, "Oh my God, he kicked my butt on the bike. He's so much stronger on the bike." And then we did a brick after, and she was feeling behind, but her training plan is completely different from him because her lifestyle is completely different from his. So that's why that comparison, feeling behind, is you're comparing yourself to either another human, which might have a completely different life than you, or you're comparing yourself to where you want to be. And that's a future that you don't even know. There's no certainty in the future. So it just gets dangerous. It's kind of like the comparison game, the feeling behind game.
Right. And something we talked about that you just reminded me of, when people see you or I swim, they're like, "Oh, I want to swim like you." And I'm like, "No, you will never swim like me unless you go back and you start when you were 4 years old."
Right.
I'm I have the technique, strength, endurance, fitness that I have as a swimmer because I've been doing it for 50 years and you haven't.
Right.
So and I'll tell them, I'll be straight with them. I'm like, that's not something that's going to happen to you. You will never swim like me. You will never look like a swimmer like me. And I don't even know why you want to. Just be happy with where you're at and the progress you've made for you based on your life circumstances and ability to swim or train in general.
Yeah. And that reminded me of somebody called into the Dave Ramsey show, the episode I listened to yesterday, and they were in their early 20s. They had no debt, and they could come up with, between her and her husband, they could come up with $2,000 a month to invest.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in their early 20s. So they pulled out the financial calculator on the air and said, okay, if you invested $2,000 a month, every month until you retire, until you're in your early 60s, you'll have $17 million.
Wow.
Because they started when they were in their 20s. Like there's no amount I could, unless I invested like $1 million a year, I would never, like you said with those swimmers, they're never going to swim like you. I'm never going to have $17 million in my account.
In your 60s.
And yeah, in my 60s. And so it's like, that's what I was kind of saying before, is like you either accept it and then build your life the best you can toward what you want in that area. So if you want to swim like Wendy, you're starting and you're 46, and you're giving yourself 2 years of swim lessons, and you're like, in 2 years, I'm going to swim like Wendy. It's just not going to happen. Unless, if you want to swim 20 hours a day, like even in that amount, like even if I put in $200,000 a year, I'm not going to get to 17 million. I don't have enough time.
Right.
So yes, but I behind someone who, they're in debt and no retirement at my age, because we get Dave Ramsey get those callers too. So when I hear those callers, I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not the worst off. Just like if you get in the pool and you can swim 100 without stopping, you're not the worst off swimmer, because Wendy and I have taught people to swim that can't even do a 25 or can't even put their face in the water. So you're never going to be the worst at something. You're never going to be the best. You're not going to be exactly where you want to be. I don't feel like in any area of life. So it's a good idea just to start from where you are and just make a plan, take that next right thing, do a little baby step toward where you want to go, and then you're going to get there a lot faster than if you do nothing.
Right. And I think the theme of what we're saying is what you just said is feeling behind has to do with because you're comparing. You're playing
And
that game of comparison.
yeah, and that never ends well, I promise you.
Right.
I read this book. I haven't read it in 20 years, but it's called Eat That Frog by, I think, oh my gosh, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I think it is. Anyway, it's a time management book. And in the intro, he says, you will never have enough time in your life to do all the things you want to do. And I was like, I read that and it like blew my mind because this was like 20 years ago. I was trying to do everything that I wanted to do. And he, right in black and white, it said that. I'm reading the book and it said, you will never have time to do everything you want to do in your life. And I was like, that is so true. And if you truly accept that, then you're going to be a lot happier with not being as productive or accomplished in any area of your life.
That's right.
So my little piece of advice, if you feel like there's an area of your life that you're behind in, because I asked my other friend, she said self-care. She said she feels behind in self-care. And so I said, what is one thing you can do today to make you feel like you took care of yourself? So if you feel behind on your training, you have a half Ironman coming up, what is one thing you can do today to move toward that goal so that you don't feel that way? Because I feel like feeling behind is a very stressful feeling. It's a negative.
It's an anxiety feeling. You feel anxious when you're behind. So
Yeah.
we want you to take the steps you need to take so you lessen that anxiety.
Yes. So that would be my best advice, is just, even if it's a little baby step, like my house is a wreck. It took me like 8 minutes this morning to find a left and a right sock. I found 5 right socks. I'm like, Cora, how did I just pick 5 right socks and no left socks? I had to look through 3 boxes. I finally found a left sock. And I was like, oh, and it's so stressful. And I only have about 20 minutes today, and I have to clean my old apartment. I'm not quite done cleaning the old apartment. So I I could stay up later tonight and get a couple things done to feel caught up, or and get caught up on my sleep for my kids. Which one is best for me to make me feel less anxious, less overwhelmed, and moving toward what I want.
So my thing that I'm going to do today is, I really haven't biked since September. Was my last race in 2025. I biked a little bit in January because we were doing an iron distance challenge that I didn't complete. And I do want to do a race, and it's in 8 weeks. And I'm feeling behind in the sense that I'm nowhere that I normally would be fitness wise to do this Olympic distance triathlon. And I won't be in 8 weeks. But today I'm going to go ride my bike, and my goal is 5 miles.
Nice.
I got my bike out last week. I pumped up the tires. I made sure it was working. It's all ready for me to ride. And the reason I didn't ride last week is I was resting, tapering from my marathon. Even though I really wanted to ride last week, I'm like, no. So today I'm like, you know what? Just go ride 5 miles. Maybe you'll ride more, but minimum, just go on your bike, ride 5 miles. And that'll kind of get the ball rolling of getting in some bike fitness for my race that I might do in 8 weeks. I'm not going to be fit on the bike, but I'm okay with that. I just want to do it because my friends are doing
Right.
it. I'm going to be okay for the swim, and I'm going to be great for the run. My bike, I just want to not I want to be strong. I just want to be able to do well. And
Right.
it starts today. 5 miles. That's it. Baby
I love
step.
that. And Wendy, you're really smart last week, because even though you knew you weren't going to ride it, you thought about what you wanted to do. So you got your bike ready to ride.
Yes.
Because if you didn't do it week today, you would have done that and maybe not gotten on it.
Right. Because it took a while to prep it, because it hasn't really been. It took me a bit of time.
Yeah. You guys, if it's just one little baby step toward the result you want.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a big giant thing. It could be one little thing. If you're trying, like when I was looking at saving money on my rent, I just went online for like 10 minutes and just looked at apartments or in the area.
Uh-huh.
Is there anything cheaper? I did that for 10 minutes. And then a few days later, I did another little step. And a few days later, another little step. But if I was like, thought that all in one day, I had to look for apartment, find an apartment, put a deposit on an apartment, start, I mean, like I wouldn't have done it. It would have been too much.
Right.
And then I wouldn't be in the new apartment today.
Mm-hmm.
So, any final words of wisdom?
Don't compare. And when you're comparing, sometimes you don't even know you are, so again, going back to having a life coach, a fitness coach, a health coach, a nutrition coach, any type of coaching in the area that you feel like you need support and accountability is only going to help you keep you on track.
Yeah, exactly. So what are you most excited about this upcoming week?
Getting on my bike again.
Oh, yay.
5 miles. I'll do 5 miles. I'll do at least 5 miles today. And then I'll probably maybe 3 days this week. My goal will be 5 to 10 miles, 3 days this week.
Awesome. I love that.
Because it's just a small distance, but it's a good start. It's more than I've done in months.
Yeah, no, but then it's not a small distance. And Wendy, we always tell people, go for 10 minutes and see how you feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everyone has to start somewhere. And it's just funny for you because you're this multi Ironman and then you're an age group champion. Like you have so much bike racing under your belt that for you to say, I'm just going to get on my bike for 5 miles seems like, gosh, that's so small, but it's so great because it just shows everyone else that it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter who you are. Start from where you are. No matter what, just start from where you are.
Exactly. I love that. That's the best part of what you just said. This whole day, this whole podcast.
I know, right? Start from where you are. It's so important. So you guys, we're not going to do any listener questions because our next week's podcast is going to be all listener questions. So we will bring you listener questions. If you have questions, let us know. We'll make sure to answer them on the podcast. And if there's any other subjects you want us to go over, anything going on that is confusing to you or seems complicated or you just can't figure out or get through, let us know. We're both coaches. We have learned over the years how to ask all the right questions. And we would love to give you guys some great information to help you stay unstuck of life.
Love it.
Love it. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for being here.
Make it a great day.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten.
If you want to learn more about us or anything we talked about today, check out the links in our show notes.
We would love to know what you think of our podcast and what you want more of. So drop us a comment, send us a message, and help us out by leaving us a rating and a review.
And don't forget to let us know your wellness win for this week.
Thanks for listening.
Make it a great day.